Hi, this is Liam Anderson from Anderson Digital. In this video we're going to talk about how to get scans from the XGRIDS PortalCam through into modeling tools such as Revit or ArchiCAD. So we also offer a service for architects or others who want to create a digital model where we will receive the LCC raw files or the LCC processed file and process them into point clouds, into .las files, or process them into downstream deliverables such as BIM models or drawings. In this video, however, we're going to talk about this process where we're going to take a PortalCam scan, we're going to process it in LCC Premium, we're going to export it as a LAS file, and we're going to use tertiary software, free open source software, a very powerful tool called Cloud Compare. In Cloud Compare we're going to export to .e57, which can then be imported directly into ArchiCAD. From ArchiCAD then you can create your drawings or 3D models as you need to. Alternatively, we can look at the E57 into Autodesk workflow. For Autodesk you would need Recap Pro. So you would take the E57 into Recap Pro, and then that would create, simply open it, save it as an RCP file, Recap Project file, which can be attached to AutoCAD or Revit, from where you can then model or draw as you need to. So firstly we're going to open a folder where, if you have your PortalCam turned on and the green light is showing, once you connect the side of the PortalCam to your PC, what should pop open is the PortalCam within the main hard drive of the PC. You'll see PortalCam, in my case it's drive E, and you'll see this folder which is model. If you double click into model, then you'll see all scans stored on the PortalCam. Each one of these is a different scan. And you can see the approximate file size of each of the scans, and what PortalCam will do is default save it as the date by year, by month, by day, and an approximate timestamp. So in this case we're going to copy these. I would copy Control C onto my local hard drive. In this case it would be stored in my PortalCam master folder and the project folder. So I would create a new project folder and copy and paste the files into there. Once we have that, we can open LCC, and I would create a new project. That was a pop-up because I'm running several programs at the same time, but it should cause no issues so long as those programs aren't consuming a lot of CPU and GPU for this demonstration. It's not necessary to switch those off. So what we want to do in this case is process a single scan. So we'll select single model. Map Fusion is for combining multiple models, and aerial ground map fusion is where we're merging photogrammetry from a drone into a ground map. So for now we're focused on single model, and we're going to navigate to here, the name, and we would put in the project name, project XYZ, whatever you want to call it, and then you would navigate to here for the scan data. So what this will look for is the folder that you just copied. So in this case, this would be the project folder that I just copied into, and once that's selected, I can go select folder. It will identify the contents inside and identify it as a suitable, that the contents are intact, and then it'll give you an estimated process time. You can turn on spatial recognition if you want to. In this case, we're going to leave spatial recognition off because we are going straight to point cloud. And HD enhancement would be as if we are focused on the 3D GS and adding photographs to that. So we're going to stick with these as off. And then over on this side, we're going to stick with standard reconstruction settings. Maximum Gaussian splats, we can increase depending on our VRAM, our graphics card. So what I like to do, rather than use the maximum 16, I will usually take it to about 14, so 2 GB less than the graphics card capability. Portability, you can leave on, exposure off, low memory reconstruction if you have a lower powered PC, you can do this. PBR normal, and special SLAM mode, auto or robust. So then I would hit start and the scan would process. What that would look like when it's processed, in the window here you'll see that your project that you just created, I would click to process, which I'll do in this case. It's giving me another warning about other programs, but I'm not going to run this to conclusion. And what you should see is this percentage of loaded project. I'm going to stop now and go to a project that I've created earlier. So in our case, we have already processed this file. And what we can do is view it. The 3D GS file, the Gaussian Splat file, is created. I'm quite happy with this, so we'll progress. And here, back in the main user interface of LCC Studio Premium, we can see our scan. And what I want to do is go here to export. The first thing I'll need to create is the LCC, or the LCC2 in this case, and the compression format. So as of late March 2026, there's a new version of LCC Studio, which does a much higher grade compression, allowing for a higher grade visual with lower file size. So in this case, I would create LCC2, SOG, and select the saving path. So within my project folder, I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to right click the open space, new folder, and in this case I'll call it LCC2 because that's the file type that we're saving. And select folder and progress. Once you've got the main processing done, these export files are quite quick. And processing, the original processing of that file took about 1.5 hours. So with the compression, that took around about 3 minutes. And once we have our LCC file exported, what we want to do is go back in here and export. And I want to drop down here to PLY format. And the same thing again, select the path. In this case, I have my LCC2 file. I will go back out here, and I'm going to create my PLY file. PLY, select folder, and process. I like to turn that on, but I leave meshes off. So the export is very quick in that case. Now we have the PLY saved, we can open the tertiary software Cloud Compare. And within Cloud Compare, we can go to File, Open, and we can navigate to our PLY file. If you want to see what file types you can import into Cloud Compare, you can open this list, the drop-down menu, and see all the file types that can be imported. So we're going to go to the PLY file that we created. into the point cloud folder, navigate into the root folder and look for the biggest PLY file. So in this case it's the 646 megabyte one here. Accept these conditions. And what you have here is the point cloud. And this point cloud will be monochrome or black and white. It will not host the RGB colors shown in the original scans. So what you can do within here is edit the file to delete any excess information. For that, I like to go back to top view over here. So here's your different views. So I like to go to top view. The building that I'm interested in is here in the center. But what we want to also include in the scan are the surrounding buildings and some of the facades from the these buildings surrounding those. Okay. So what we'll do is over here you need to select the point cloud, and then that will allow this toolbar menu to be utilized. For example, if I don't have that selected, this toolbar is grayed out. So I'm going to select the point cloud, and you can see this snip tool. So we're going to segment. With the segment tool open, we're going to click just behind the facades of the surrounding buildings with left click. And when we're finished, I'm going to put one more point here and then press right click to close the polyline selection. And then in the selection tool, what I want to keep is segment in. And you can see here where it's red inside the polygon, and here it's red outside the polygon. So you can choose to select what's inside or outside the polygon. In this case, we want to segment in. So I'll click this button, and then we're left with this data. So if I hold right click, I can pan, and if I hold left click, I'm able to rotate the model. At this point, I want to export my selection. So I'll confirm the segmentation. And now you can see there's a new line item on the left-hand side. It's split it into two data sets. So this one is our segment, and this one is outside the segment. And now with what's visible in the screen, you can go to File, choose your drop-down menu, and save as an E57 file. For the E57, I sent it to the wrong location, so what I want to do is take my E57 file, go back out to the main project. I'll name this E57 and save it here. With the E57 file created, we can open ArchiCAD. Create a new project. And within ArchiCAD, go to File, Interoperability, Import Point Clouds. We can now navigate to locate our E57 file. So here's the E57 file that we just created. And within our ArchiCAD, it will create a .lcf file, which is essentially a library, and the point cloud will have a fixed reference then within ArchiCAD. And if you make any manipulations to that, which we will do in just a moment, such as orientation or movement, it stores that data. It stores that data of the point cloud in relation to the project that you have set up. So instead of create, I want to create and place. And we can place the point cloud at the project origin, or we can, if we have a specific place that we want to, we can adjust it manually. And which story do we want it to be have as its home story? So ground floor is good. So if we click this, press OK, and it should come in the lower left hand corner here. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is, because we're focused on this building in the center, I'd like to do two manipulations. So I'm going to escape. I'm going to select my point cloud. With the point cloud selected, I'm going to rotate. And I'm going to zoom in here to the front facade. And I'm going to select in the middle of the point cloud spray here at its densest. And I'm going to come in at the other side of the front of that facade, over here. And what I can do is look at the line, and I want the line aligned with the majority of the point clouds. This is an averaging exercise. So I want to have it here, and I'm going to do my second click. And I'm going to zoom out with my scroll wheel, and I'm going to align with the x-axis of the project. And then I'm going to do one more manipulation, which is drag, and drag the building into the center of my work area here. So now we have it on the visible on the ground floor, but if you go to the first story, you'll notice it's not visible. So I want to go back to the ground floor, select this, press Control T or Command T on a Mac. And for here in the floor plan and section, for show on stories, it says currently home story only. What we want to do is change this from the drop down menu to all relevant stories. Press OK. And then you should be able to see the point cloud file on the first story, the second story, and any other stories that you create. If you want to bring the point cloud into Autodesk, either AutoCAD or Revit, then we need to go through an additional process, because both of those programs prefer to work with .rcp files, which are a Autodesk native point cloud handling file type. So in order to do that, you need to install Recap Pro. Go to New Project, press OK, go to New Project, go to Import Point Cloud. Give the project a name. In this case, I already have an RCP folder, so I'll create a new one. I'll select that folder and proceed. And now it'll ask me to select files to import. You can drag files or folders here, or we can navigate to, again, you can see what file types it's looking for here. So in our case, we're going to be looking for an E57. So we'll go back to our folder. We'll go to our E57. And we'll go to our project E57 that we exported from Cloud Compare. Proceed with the native settings. There are a lot more features in Recap, but for our use case, we just proceed with the very basic commands. I'm on a launch project. So here we see the point cloud. And what I want to simply do is go over, for in the top menu, the home menu, I want to scroll over to the import export, and what I want to do is export. And what I want to do is, within my RCP2 file, I'm going to open this, and this is a project RCP, which is not what we're looking for. We want to create this unified RCP, which is a .rcp file type. Okay. The warning that came up there is if you're merging multiple scans together, often there'll be overlap in point cloud data. If you're unifying sometimes, and if you've gone through a decimation process, what that's telling you is that those changes, if you're decimating a project or unifying a project, those changes will be permanent. So to have your raw data secured. So there we are, we've created our RCP file. So we're finished in recap. What we can do is open Autodesk, AutoCAD. We can create a new drawing here. Here in the Insert tab, go to Attach, and here you see RCP or RCS. So we'll navigate to our folder. We want to go to our RCP2 folder that we created and go to this final project RCP and open. And here you can see the point cloud about to come in. Press OK, it'll ask you for the insertion point. I'm just going to put it in at the origin, and here we have our point cloud within Autodesk ready to go. And finally within the Revit platform, you can go to New Projects, and within that new project, or any project, you can go to Insert, Point Cloud, and navigate to the RCP folder. Positioning is up to you, but you can go center to center, origin to internal origin, or by shared coordinates depending on your project type. And here we can see a clean point cloud within the Revit environment. Level 0, level 1. So there'll be further alignment to do within the Revit project. So thanks for watching. We covered everything from taking it from the PortalCam, copying it to our local device, processing it within LCC Premium Studio, exporting the LAS. Again, with LCC standard, you can create the LCC file type, but you cannot create the .las, and LAS is required for export to Cloud Compare and the downstream file types. We took it from Cloud Compare, exported to E57 into ArchiCAD, and then in our other process, E57 into Recap and into our AutoCAD and Revit softwares. So all in all, for 3 processes, I was able to do all 3 in approximately 30 minutes. But that time will vary depending on your processing power, the size of the scan, etc. I hope you enjoyed watching, and any questions you can reach out to us at info@andersondigital.ie. Thank you.